So good morning, folks. Hope you're all well. Here on the Soul Man Surgery this morning, we have got the very lovely Kenny Walker, and we're going to be having a live Q&A session on all things relating to fitness, wellness, all of that stuff. So have your questions ready. Ask as many questions as you like to Kenny. It might be that you need a bit of inspiration on, getting active. It might be that you need a bit of inspiration on food or whatever. Kenny's your man. So let's get started. Be strong. Good morning, Kenny. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. It's always funny when we come on, because we're always like, oh, how are you? It's really nice to see you.
And we just did it 5 minutes ago. It's all for the show, isn't it?
So Kenny, it is, absolutely. Kenny is more commonly known as the Group X guy for anybody who hasn't seen any of Kenny's surgeries before. And if you want to go and follow Kenny, his Instagram and his Facebook are all running down the bottom of the screen here. So, Kenny, today we're going to have a wee live Q&A, and obviously people aren't going to ask questions straight away. But last week we were kind of bursting the myths around, exercise
and food and
Yeah, absolutely. So my first question to you today from me, and I think I asked you this last week. Mm-hmm. See when we are trying to create good new healthy habits, and we're maybe 2 weeks in, we're really motivated, we're really pumped, and then it all goes Pete Tong, and we lose our motivation. What's your best advice to people when that happens?
So there'll be something that's not quite working there for you, or maybe something that's not resonating with you. You might have done too much to start with. I say this all the time: do small things to start with. Or is it a case of you actually need more? Because you might be 2 weeks in, you're doing wee bits here and there, and you're like, maybe this isn't enough. Maybe you're not being challenged enough. Maybe you need to look at what you're actually doing to get you a wee bit more motivated. Could be something like that. So on the flip side of doing small things might not actually work for you. Maybe you need to do a few more things that's going to challenge you a wee bit more and make you want a wee bit more.
So it might not be the small things. It might be that you really need to be challenged and pushed.
Aye. You need a bit up the bum. Maybe that's what it is.
A kick up the bum. Love it. And what do you think in your mind? What do you think is the best way to get started? Is it with food first, or is it with activity first, or is it a combination of both?
I would probably say maybe a combination of both. But again, it's the wee things for me. It's not about forcing things down people's throats, because I had an interesting call with somebody yesterday actually for an online client, and it's got to fit into your lifestyle. Because say you're a busy mum and you got a full-time job, and they've now got the stress of the work teaching from home thing. Everything that they are going to have to change in their lifestyle is going to have repercussions. So it's going to have a ripple effect. So you've got to make sure that it fits into your life, and you're not trying to change too much in your life, because otherwise that's when your brain just goes boom.
I think that's the problem, though. People try and really. I know we've spoken about this already, but people they try to overhaul everything in the beginning, don't they? And then it's sometimes overwhelming for folks. So
at the end of the day, when you make changes, it's a total lifestyle change. It's not just you might say the next 3 months this is what I plan to do, but it's got to carry on after those 3 months, and so that you implement that into your life, and that then becomes you as a new person. Because most people want to change because they're not happy or there's something that they don't particularly like. So they've got to make sure that what they're changing is going to be able to continue with them for the longevity, the rest of their lives. It's not just about the wee things. It's like, okay, am I still going to be doing this in 12 months' time? Look at the bigger picture.
Change is hard, though, isn't it?
Oh my God, yes. Change is scary.
Yeah.
Change is scary because when you're a creature of habit, it's stepping outside that comfort zone, isn't it? If you're used to something, you've done it for such a long time. It's difficult, it's scary, and it's hard. But 9 times out of 10, it's always worth it. So we had the discussion about going from employed to self-employed. That was the scariest decision probably you and I have ever made. But 9 months later, for me, it's been the best decision I have ever made in my life.
But it totally relates to that, because when you're going through that really difficult time, you're inside your head, you're like, oh my God, fuck, I can't do this. This is like, that's brutal.
So you try to read a book rather than doing an Audible in it.
It's so true, like when we're feeling uncomfortable, I suppose that's when we are growing, isn't it?
Aye, you need to embrace it.
Yeah.
And it's the same when it comes to lifestyle and habit changing. It'll make you uncomfortable because you'll notice that you like to do things that you're good at and you're confident at, but you got good and confident at those things by doing them in the first place.
Yeah.
So the things that you're changing, you will become good and confident. It's just about that consistency and making sure that you just keep doing it.
Yeah. We do have, if you see in the comments, I don't know if you can see. Can you see the comments, Kenny?
No.
That's fine. So the last few days we've been having people spamming our live. So if you do see any spam in the comments, guys, just totally ignore
it. Is that people writing loads of messages, or is it people just being dafties?
It's just dafties. They're just spamming the chat. It's a good thing though, because the more they spam the chat, the more Facebook recognises the algorithm sends it out to more people. So
thank you, dafties.
If you get any crazy folk trying to ask you on a date or telling you that you've won $10,000, guys, please do not reply to them. Just totally ignore them. This poor wee guy's asking if there's any girls. Sorry, you've just got me.
Not today, Satan.
So, is this Lorna? Yeah.
Yes, this is a lovely Lorna.
So I started small with a few steps, 10,000 steps, increased water, tracked calories, and a couple of boot camps. And as the months went on, I added in new things. I was consistent with it and made myself accountable. I can now have one off day that won't throw me off. One day at a time rather than thinking months ahead. That's
totally so Lorna totally changed her lifestyle by doing those small things, and that's literally all it takes. Something as simple as setting yourself a target. Say you hit 3,000 steps a day, can you hit 5,000 steps a day? Three times a week. It's something as simple as that. Lorna has implemented that along the way, and I think Lorna will be a year into her journey in, I think, maybe June or July. But that's her life. She's totally transformed herself and took herself to a person that she probably doesn't recognise, but you see how happy she is and how confident that she is. She takes selfies. Lorna takes selfies every day.
When she's doing her stuff, or just in general,
just in general, she'll post selfies to Instagram.
Oh, amazing!
That for somebody is a big confidence thing. A lot of people don't like taking selfies.
Yeah. So did Lorna start on this? Like she was very low vibing, very like she couldn't take a selfie, and now she's like, hey.
Mm-hmm. Picture daft, aye. She loves her phone, don't you? She'll be pure howling at me, but aye, she loves her phone. But it's been amazing to see, and I give her credit every single week because she doesn't stop. She might be in the workouts at home, but she doesn't stop. She just loves it.
That's amazing.
There's Ollie back for his walk. Hello, Ollie. I'm almost scared in case he knocks the ring light over.
What would you say to people, Kenny, who were considering like starting some sort of weight loss journey?
Do it. What I was thinking about something earlier about goal setting and stuff. Do it, but don't think that you need to give yourself a time scale to do it.
Yeah.
Don't think, although if somebody signs up with me, I say you give yourself that initial 3 months, but don't feel like you need to achieve everything within those 3 months. You need to give yourself, I guess you need to give your brain time to digest what's happening, the kind of path that you want to go on and where you want to be. And just make sure that it is right for you, but absolutely do it. Don't be scared. Change is good.
Brilliant. You've got a question there from Fiona Morrison asking, when is the best time of day to exercise?
That is dependent on you. If you're a morning person, you're probably going to work harder in the morning. Or if you're a night person, you work harder at night. Or, some people like a wee lunchtime burst. It totally depends on you and your energy. I love exercising in the morning because I think you get up, it sets you up for the day and you're buzzing. But a lot of people prefer to get up, enjoy their morning, have their breakfast if they choose to, go to work, and then after work, that'll be the de-stressor. So they'll go and train, they'll go and exercise to forget about the day that they've had. It just depends on the type of person you are and your energy levels at the time of the day, I guess.
So could you potentially exercise like 10 o'clock at night before you go to bed?
Yeah. And again, that I couldn't exercise at that time because that's when I start to wind down, and exercise wakes me up. So that would actually be detrimental for me for the next day if I was to exercise late at night. I think the latest I would probably exercise is maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, because that still gives me a few hours to start to wind down, have my dinner, chill out, and then go to bed. But, that's why Pure Gym is so successful. That's why Pure Gym is so big, because they're 24 hours. And it means that people who are nurses or anything like that, they can go in and train after the shifts at night or early in the morning.
Do people actually go in and exercise at like 1 and 2 in the morning in these places?
So when I started in Pure Gym, they did night audits, which managers went in from midnight till 3 in the morning, just to do a night audit, make sure the members kind of knew what they were doing in the event of an emergency, and just, check up on things at that time. And the gym, I remember my first one, and the gym was absolutely heaving. There was about 70 or 80 people in the gym.
Jeez.
But half 1 in the morning, it opened my eyes, because I thought, God, there is actually, there's people that live their lives during the night. I'm usually snoozing. I was like rubbing my eyes, like, is this for real? Am I sleeping in the office? People do exercise at those times. I guess, that's people that shift workers.
Yeah.
People that work shifts and, say they work like 2 till 11 or 2 till 12, that's their time.
So there's a wee market that you could tap into, Kenny, like exercise classes at 1 in the morning.
During the night. They would need to be pre-recorded, because I would probably be quite grumpy.
I suppose that's the beauty of like being in a community like yours. You will have pre-recorded videos there, won't you?
Yeah.
People could do that at any time of the night without the whole gym membership side of things.
Mm-hmm. And feeling like they had to be somewhere at a specific time, because sometimes people don't like that either.
Yeah.
They just like to have a wee bit of freedom, especially if they work the shifts. They need to work certain hours, certain days. So to feel that then they need to be exercising at certain times as well. Sometimes people just prefer to have that, right, I can go at that time, or I can just switch my phone on and do that at that time. Just creates that wee bit of freedom for them.
Amazing. I've got another question for you, and it's more of a personal question. It's not too personal, so don't worry. But everybody knows James, your partner, who is on a Wednesday, and James is a life coach, and amongst other things that he does. Do you think that James has really helped you with your business and helped you with your whole, the way that you do everything? Or
definitely, he's helped me probably have more belief in myself than I could ever have. That's probably been the biggest thing: belief that I am capable, and belief that he's standing behind me, like doing this. He's given me more belief than anybody could probably have given me, and pushed me. Because it's so easy to think, oh, can I? I don't know. No sure. It's that change thing. But he's like, and then I'm like, I can, and then I do it.
It's nice to see that more vulnerable side of you, though, because I'm sure a lot of people will see you coming on and you're like, yeah, how are you doing, guys? And you're
I'm human. I'm only human, aye.
Yeah, so it's nice to see that vulnerable side of you where, you know, to know that, you know, you do have struggles with your own thinking and that
Massive,
you know,
yeah.
you've got that amazing support there.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's obviously seen James's surgeries and how inspiring James is by getting everybody really thinking about what it is that they really want to do and what their goals are. So would you say that James has helped you to spur on your thoughts about the future with your business too?
Yeah. He's done a lot of, I think, what would you call them? Don't want to say sneaky, but he's done a lot of kind of work on me without me realising it, like asking random questions and getting me to think differently. And I guess just opening my eyes to wee silly things that I do worry about. I'm quite bad for worrying about time. I need to be an hour early for everything, and there's no need for it. But he's been doing some work on me with that as well. So I guess on the, I don't want to say sneaky, but it's a word. He's been doing it without me realising.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So he's been doing some work on me, but not telling me he's doing some work on me. I'm just like, we're sitting having a conversation, watching The Real Housewives, and he's actually doing some real deep NLP work on me.
It's like inside your brain, pulling it all apart. Absolutely.
Unraveling the spaghetti that I'm up there.
Lorna's asking there, what impact do you think COVID will have on the traditional gym environment after so many people thought outside the box to keep up with exercise? Good question, Lorna.
It's a great question. I don't think gyms will go back to normal for some time, because I think even after, you know, people get the vaccinations and stuff, I think there's still going to be that fear of, you know, catching the virus. Or there was the whole, people thought that gyms, when this all came about, people thought that gyms were dirty, and you know that was a place to catch COVID. It was actually the complete opposite. But a lot of that, because we were cleaning, like my hands were bleeding, we were cleaning that much. It was a crazy time. But I think after this, for a long time, the normal gym environment, in terms of the bigger gyms, I think they'll be affected for quite some time, only because there has been a huge, I guess, there's been a huge number of trainers and coaches that I've seen across the industry who have went down their own path and decided to open their own gyms. And I think that's, you know, they feel safer, they feel cleaner, that it's more of a community aspect where you're going to go there and people know you. So I think that people who went to bigger gyms will probably see more value in going to a smaller gym, and feel more welcome. But yeah, bigger gyms will definitely be affected for quite some time. And then who knows what will happen with the whole group exercise thing in the gyms? You know, will it still be limited for a long period of time?
Mm-hmm.
It's all very shaky.
I have to say, I do love the fact, you know, that there's so many guys like you out there that are doing these amazing things in communities, and I think that's where people get, you know, you're getting a really personal service.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even growing, you know, so your small business could grow to, I don't know, say you've got 2 locations and you've got 10 people working for you.
Mm-hmm.
Even that, you're still getting a really personal service.
Yeah.
You know, whereas these huge, big corporate gyms, there's hundreds and thousands of people that, you know, go through that revolving door every day.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really for me, that's the hook when you're joining a place like yourself. It's very much about the whole community aspect and feeling looked after, and the very personal.
You're more than just a membership when you join any gym with a good trainer or a good coach who is in the industry for the right reasons. You're joining for more than just the membership. You're joining so that we know who you are and who your family are and what your dog's names are. It's all the wee things that matter to you should matter to that person that owns the gym as well. I think that's a big thing. It's the personal touch and making sure you've got that connection with them.
Definitely, I think it's the future of fitness, if I'm really honest.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Another question from Lisa: can you recommend any fitness programs?
Any fitness programs?
What do you mean by that, Lisa? Do you mean I don't know?
I guess one of the biggest names, and you know, it's the international, is Les Mills. So a lot of you guys might not have heard from them, but Les Mills do body attack, body pump, body combat, body balance, anything with body in front of it. They own. They have a great app called LMOD, which is Les Mills On Demand. I can't remember the price of it. It might be something like $11.99 a month. But you get access to hundreds of their workouts, and they're all top class instructors. They're all phenomenal, and you can log in straight from your phone and stream it to your telly. So if you're looking for something like that, where you know you've got your cardio side of thing with the attack and the combat, or you've got pump, where you can, if you've got resistance kit in the house, you can go for that as well. But it's all, you know, 30 minutes, 45-minute versions as well for $11.99 a month. That would probably be one of the ones that I recommend, because that would be one of the ones that I would use personally as well if I was wanting to work out just from home. So Les Mills On Demand.
And what's the difference between, you know, paying for an app and going onto YouTube and watching a fitness video on YouTube?
I think the fitness videos, most of the fitness videos I've seen on YouTube, I wouldn't really rate. A lot of the time you go into these and it's more about how that person's looking. You get the wrong angle with the camera, you put a bum in there. There's no real connection from them. Whereas with the LMOD, the connection and the engagement, it's how they're trained is there. They know how to make you feel it, as opposed to just going through the motions. Feel the workout, feel the music, and it just keeps you wanting more. Whereas a YouTube, they're just looking for subscribers, I would say.
Yeah. And I was speaking to a girl last week, actually, and she was in a fitness program with someone, and it was a Zoom call once a week where they were doing like group fitness. And she said that the thing that really put her off was the noise distortion. So she could hear the coach taking her through the whole thing, but the music was very like woo, woo, woo. You know how Zoom does that thing where it like adjusts the sound in the background. Yep. So and I know that's something that, you know, nobody can avoid. It's just part of Zoom because it was created for people speaking. So what's your thoughts on the whole Zoom platform for fitness?
Love Zoom. That's what I use for mine. So what I found is when we went back into lockdown again, I had some gym owners contacting me asking for advice, because I've been doing mine for nearly a year now and it's still pretty decent. People put their laptops on and they want to put their big speakers on, which are quite far away. They want to turn the volume right up, which either is going to mask them out and only do that sound thing towards the computer, or vice versa. They're not going to be able to hear the music and only hear the coach. You need to strike the balance. You can literally use a phone. You could sit your phone next to your laptop if you're using that, or put a phone next to your phone. Keep it down very low, because it's so close, it picks it up clearer being low rather than having it up extremely loud. So you need to find that balance. Step back to the point where you're going to be teaching it from and make sure that they can hear you. I have a speaker next to my laptop and it sits about this much away from it. I can still hear it nicely, and my members can still hear it nicely, and I always do a sound test at the start to make sure they can hear me, and then I step back and then make sure they can still hear the music and hear me at the same time. That's how you overcome those things. Just a wee bit of practice and making sure that you ask for the feedback, because if they're paying for it, you want to make sure it's the best it can be virtually.
That's maybe a good tip for other trainers and things out there as well, because you know, like she said to me, she was like, I just totally gave up on the Zoom class because all I could see was this woman talking and then the music like breaking up in the background. She was like, it just totally put me off. So,
or if anybody's watching and they do Zoom classes, you know, give the trainer some feedback so they can fix it. Because I always say the music sounds great to me, and I obviously sound as I would sound. I won't know it's sounding crap until somebody tells me, and the guys they're quite open with me, which I need to know, because if they're doing an exercise class for 30 minutes and it's a crappy experience, I don't want that, because that reflects on me.
Brilliant. And then we have got a question here from Martin saying, what's your thoughts on Peloton?
They are great. They're up and coming. I haven't actually done any Peloton stuff before, but I know that they've just opened a shop in Glasgow. So they're growing. I know they're growing massively, and I think throughout COVID they've totally people have taken a shine to them, because it is something a wee bit different, and I think that their instructors are pretty top class as well. But that's exactly it. You pay a subscription, and they're advertising constantly right now, so they'll be paying a fortune for all the telly stuff. But if you can afford a bike in the house, then do it.
And is Peloton where you're on a bike? Yeah.
I think they do other things as well, but I know that was the main thing that was the cycling. So you had you had your phone in front of you, and you had the instructor, and it was just you and the instructor doing a cycle class. Which is it's a fantastic concept. It's done so well.
I have to say, I was at PT just before lockdown, and we haven't done anything since, because he's been really not well. He's had COVID, so
oh no,
I've not been able to do anything right throughout January. However, he's got this horrible bike. I don't know what you call it, right?
Is that an assault bike?
I don't know what it is. It's this nasty piece of work that you do this.
Aye, the assault bike, aye. I've got one of them in the gym as well.
And it blows really nice cool air on you at first, and you're like, this is great, this is brilliant, this is really easy. 5 minutes in, you're like...
it's the after effect, isn't it? It catches up you. I always say, see if I've got people on it, back in December, I was standing in front of it, and I would be like, right, you're the air conditioning for this gym now, so get moving. It's good fun.
We've got Anne there saying, I taught on Zoom last year for dance and fitness. Had my laptop next to my TV, streamed music to my TV through the laptop, and adjusted the settings to original sound. It went well. Now I've had to give it all up and work in Sky. Gutted.
Oh, and that's rubbish. That's rubbish, isn't it? I know. There's things that you can buy as well. Like, I know friends who have invested a wee bit of money, and you can get there's wee gadgets you can connect to actually just make the music sound the same as what it would from the phone through the Zoom experience. But I think it's like £250. So I guess if you wanted to invest a wee bit and enhance your experience, you can do that.
Yeah. Lorna's saying, Kenny loves that.
When we get back into the gym, Lorna doesn't know this, but we're going to be doing some calorie challenges, burning as many calories on it.
Oh,
nice. However many I decide. It depends how my mood is on that day.
So keep your questions coming for Kenny, guys, because obviously this is a live Q&A session. I am going to ask a question though, Kenny, and that is, see, when I do any kind of physical fitness, I always feel like I'm going to vomit straight after. So I'm listening. Give me 2 wee seconds.
Aye, fire away.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Dog scratching at the door.
They're so nosy, aren't they?
So the whole, like, every single time I do any kind of exercise, I always really push myself to my limit. And straight after it, like, I'm ready to vomit.
Shaky?
I feel shaky. I feel cold sweats. I physically...
Sounds like you're going to pass out, Stephen.
I've been physically sick with it before. So what's your thoughts on that? Am I doing too much?
When do you train? What time do you normally train at?
It just depends. It's really in my free time. So my free time is very flexible. So week to week.
What do you normally eat before your sessions, and how long before?
I probably don't eat anything if I'm training in the morning. But if it's in the evening, I've obviously had my breakfast and my lunch. Probably not dinner, but I would maybe have like a banana or something like an hour before I exercise.
Yeah. It's a strange one. So there's either one or two things that I would recommend. It's either try and have something like a banana about an hour before. But if you are still feeling that sick and wobbly way, it might be that your session is just a wee bit too intense for you. You might be just be pushing a wee bit more, because that would put me off exercises. If feeling like I was going to pass out or spew every time, it would totally put me off it. Maybe just dial it down a wee bit rather than doing 100%. Take it down to like 85%, because you might find that putting your body under that level of stress might actually be deterring you from getting to your goals or progressing, because you're really, really stressing. You're putting a lot of stressor on your body there by making yourself, pushing yourself to the point that you're going to be sick.
I really do. I think I'm one of these people where I'm like all in or all out, you know. So I either or I'm like sitting eating a packet of Jammy Dodgers.
So it's either one or two things. You're maybe not having enough to eat. It could be the case that your blood sugar levels are just a bit spiky, or maybe you're just pushing yourself a wee bit too much, which a lot of people would probably be going, can you do that? But yeah, you can.
I think that's a good question, because a lot of people might experience that when they're doing loads of physical fitness. You know, they might feel really, I just didn't feel well after a exercise.
It's that whole adrenaline. It's the whole, your body's just pumping loads of adrenaline. So because you're really going for it, there's loads. Your adrenal glands are just spiked, and you're like, oh my god, I'm going to be sick.
I used to go to a MetaFit class, and I went to this MetaFit class 3 times a week, 2 or 3 times a week, every single week for maybe 2 years. And I remember every single time in that MetaFit class, I was the one sitting in the corner.
Legs up there to stop you from passing out.
And Juliana, the trainer, she was always like, Stephen, don't push yourself too hard.
That's obviously a mindset. That's a mindset thing for you.
Yeah.
You want to just smash it. Totally smash it.
Definitely. It's funny though, because there will be loads of people watching this who maybe smash it. They feel that way, and then they just think, do you know what? Exercise doesn't work for me because it just makes me feel like straight after.
Don't get me wrong. See if you like it and you enjoy it and you feel good for it, then go for it.
Suppose it's like being drunk. You know that whole and I stand the feeling of being drunk, so that's obviously why I didn't drink.
You get enough out for your exercise.
You've got. I'll go to Diane's comment first there. Bananas take longer than an hour to digest. I learned this the hard way with my skating students.
Maybe just half it, Diane. Maybe just have half a banana. But banana's good because it's slow releasing energy. So you get that. You get your effort levels and during your sessions actually going to be a wee bit more because you've got slow releasing energy. But I quite like that. I learned this the hard way with my skate students.
Diane's a wee bit of a celebrity, actually. Diane teaches skaters, so she's a champion ice skater. Diane, she's worked with Tom Dean. She's worked with some of the guys that do dancing on ice. She's really good friends with some of the guys in dancing on ice. So, sorry, Diane, I know that you'll hate me saying that. She'll be like, "No, stop saying that."
She'll be like, "You're a brass neck."
Diane's had a particularly hard time though through lockdown because obviously the ice rinks have been shut. So they've been out skating on ponds and lakes and everything. It's been crazy.
That's all you've seen on Facebook. I think we've been down to -7 and everybody's, I mean, people are walking their weight. People are taking their prams onto them. I think that's insane. Have you seen the pictures? Families, no. a man a day. It was Queen's Park in Glasgow and then there was one in Edinburgh and it was circulating. Like just walking over the pond with a pram. It's crazy. I hope the person's not watching, but it is crazy.
Lorna said, what's better, strong technique or getting through reps quickly?
I think that it totally depends on experience for number one and your goals, whatever you want to achieve. But for me, for somebody who's just starting off, it's strong technique. You got to get the foundations right and make sure your body's moving properly and efficiently so that, you know, a year or two down the line, you don't end up with an injury. It's the biggest thing. A lot of new people that come to me for PTs or for coaching. They want to bang out the reps as quickly as they can. because it gets your heart rate up and because that's what they feel is right. But slow it down and feel. I speak about it all the time. The mind to muscle connection. Make sure you're feeling the right muscles working. Make sure you can feel your cores engaged properly, and make sure you're feeling for any niggles or any pulling or any tension throughout anywhere in the full body. Strong technique all the way, Lorna. We know this.
So, would you say then, Kenny, that when people are thinking about, like, for instance, lifting weights, because I know a lot of people, they'll go in, they'll lift weights, and specifically females actually, because there's a lot of females that feel that if they lift weights, they're going to end up looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it's not really the case, is it? No, it's just not at all. Lifting weights is actually something that's really good for you.
So beneficial. And I think the thing is, it's not really... The only way they would probably go down that route is if they were doing a bodybuilding competition. There'll be specific nutritional guidance that they'll need to adhere to, and I mean down to the amount of asparagus that they're eating. I worked with a girl who did a bodybuilding competition years ago, and it was inspirational to see. But it's also, when you see it behind the scenes, yeah, they look amazing and they're, aesthetically incredible. But when you see what goes on behind the scenes, how tired they are, it affects their cycle, their mood, they're not sleeping properly. Unless they're going down that route, they're not going to build muscle that females think they can build. It's not really in their DNA.
And that leads to my next question as well, because obviously I know that your stuff, it's really focused around like female fitness, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So what is it that you just don't want to work with guys? Is it, that's maybe a really like straightforward question?
No, not at all.
So
it's a surgery, isn't it? It's a surgery.
Why is it that a lot of your stuff is like directed towards female clients?
Think what I've found is in my time in the industry is any female clients that I've worked with tend to listen more to what I'm saying to them. They understand more and they take on board more. I do have some male clients who, funnily enough, are pretty similar to me. But I do tend to attract a lot of females. I don't know if it's because of my personality, but I have found that I get the best results with females, and that for me it gives me a lot of value.
Mm-hmm.
Getting people results and just making them the person that they want to be. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much that.
I get that though, because like, not to like stereotype men at all, but like a lot of guys, if they've got very fixed thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and they might challenge their coach on like, no, actually, that's not how I do it. So
I did this in the gym the other day, and I did that. I was like, why did you do that? How did you do it? Because I've no showed you how to do that yet. So why are you doing that? But it's that mentality. They probably see stuff. It's like everything, they see stuff on social media, and they think, oh, I'm going to do that because it looks good and it's going to get me how that person looks. And actually, it's not true.
So I suppose that's a really good answer to that question, is that, like, women listen, guys didn't.
Aye, it's true. They really do. Guys don't listen.
We are guys, so like we're speaking for our gender, like, and I'm sure you'll agree. We didn't listen, did we?
No,
because I didn't.
I didn't either.
Someone's trying to tell me what to do. I'm like, right, okay, I'll just do it my way.
But didn't he tell me what to do, didn't he?
See, you're using that funny word.
Only because you keep using it cracks me up.
No, he's taking the piss because the word "dinny" is something that Kenny just can't understand. He can't comprehend it.
Hilarious.
Funny. Here in the Central Belt, we use the word "dinny."
Mm-hmm.
We also use Barry and Ken.
I know, Barry and Ken. I didn't Ken. I don't know why we find it so funny. I don't know why we find it really funny. Because we're a minority, aren't we?
You go further east, they call the Waynes the Barons.
I know, the Barons. Is that like Fife? Is that you're there? Because they've got a really strong accent.
Edinburgh is the Barons, and Fife is the Baron.
The Baron.
And then you go to Dundee and they're the Buys.
The Buys. It's like another world, and it's only like an hour away.
If there's anybody for Dundee watching, I'm really, really sorry. Don't mean that.
It's all for the banter. All for
It
the,
is.
all for the show.
Trisha's saying there, I prefer yoga and body balance and missing swimming.
Mm-hmm. So that's Body Balance is a Les Mills program. So there you go. Body
There is a
Balance
lot of
is
people
amazing.
that are actually taken to the sea, aren't they? You know, like I've seen a lot of people sea swimming, which is crazy. The fourth, you know, the fourth that
Mhm.
takes you over Fife, that stretch of water. I didn't know this, but there's so many people that swim in that. They swim
Really?
from, aye, it's crazy.
It must not get much warmer than 1 degrees.
No, I think they do it in wetsuits. So, you know, like anybody that's watching this that's thinking to go and jump in the fourth and swim across, like,
Don't.
make sure that you're a good swimmer and you're wearing a wetsuit or whatever.
I go sea swimming when I'm on holiday, but that's it. I couldn't face the cold water.
No. Cold water's supposed to be good though, that whole cold water
Mhm.
immersion. You know, it's really good for the immune system and all of that.
And this has been a new trend. This has been a growing trend that I've seen is going for the, you know, they go like the big tub of cold water.
Yeah.
Run that. That's a
And
new
I
trend. I've
think
seen that
all of
growing.
the whole Wim Hof
Mm-hmm.
thing as well. You know, I don't know if you've heard about Wim Hof, but
Mm.
I do Wim Hof breathing. I do the breathing exercise, but and I have done cold water immersion as well. But it's such an invigorating thing. See, when you go into that ice bath and you come out, you're like, wow.
You feel good for it?
It's no good. Diane saying there, so skaters need to be really lean and not bulked. I don't usually get my students to work bar weights as I'm afraid they will bulk or hurt their backs. I have one girl who is doing over the head weights at the moment against my advice. What advice can you give me on this, please?
So skaters need to be really lean and bulk. I don't usually get my students to work bar weights. I'm afraid they will bulk or hurt their back. I have one girl who is doing overhead weights at the moment. What advice can you give me on this, please? So it would be interesting to see. I guess it's a bit of a general. So if she's doing overhead stuff, is she using a barbell or is she using dumbbells? Or I'm trying to think how you could give her advice on that one. I guess you can maybe ask her to get some video. You get to record it and see what that looks like. I don't know if you already do that, but I would always ask somebody who's doing that against me telling them, because if it's a barbell, I would maybe ask Diana, maybe ask for some video so that you can see what she's doing and maybe advise on it some more there. I guess sets and reps as well. You know, how long is she doing it for? Is she doing too much? Can you then give her more advice on, right, let's look at, you know, right, you want to do it, so let's look at actually making it safer for you, making sure that you're not going to injure yourself and put yourself out when we are ready to come back. So let's look at reducing the reps, or let's look at reducing the weight, recovery time and stuff as well. A lot of people do 30 and 40 repetitions of one exercise, then they'll take a 15-second recovery, and then because they're all hyped, they go straight back in again. So I would probably suggest that you ask to get some recordings of her just to see how she's moving and make sure it is safe and make sure that she's doing it properly and not overexerting herself.
Great
If they're
advice.
going to do it, they're going to do it, and there's nothing you can't tell them no.
Yeah. It's funny because see when I'm doing any kind of like bar work, because I like to lift weights. That like my goal is to lose a bit of body fat and to feel really like just to feel strong, because that I was always really strong before. So a lot of people say to me, "You've got muscle memory, Stephen. So you know your muscle will remember the way it used to be." Is that a thing?
I think it is a thing. When you think about if you stop training, literally after 2 or 3 weeks, the detraining that happens it's insane, because then you get back to it and you go, oh my god, I feel how I felt before I exercised. But you very quickly, your body then becomes used to the stressors, as I was talking about earlier. It becomes used to the responses and the weight load and any of the cardio stuff. It very quickly adapts to that because it understands, your body's so clever, it understands how to react and how to change quickly to get you back to that point quicker.
I'll come back to that. Diane's saying there, so high weights and low reps better, or high reps and lower weights to keep lean?
High reps, Diane, high reps and lower weights. And then if you are getting video feedback, just make sure you get her not to face the camera at all times. Make sure I always get people to change their angles so you can see if they're stable. So how's the hips looking? How's the back looking? Are they leaning back? How's the knees? How's the foot placement? Get them to change their angles so they could do say they do one set facing the camera and then do another set turning side on so that you can actually watch and make sure it's slow and controlled.
That's something that you speak about a lot, Kenny, is form and about, and it's something my PT, he speaks an awful lot about form. He always says to me, like, forget about the weight that you're trying to lift. Let's really work on your form. Let's really work on how you're lifting so we can avoid injury in the future.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe the mistake that a lot of people do. They go in there, they don't have the right form, they're lifting weights that might be too heavy, and then they find themselves to be injured or they're not seeing results as a result of that. So would you agree with that? That
Massive.
Poor form,
I agree. Yeah.
that results.
Yeah, if you got poor form and you're doing that over a long period of time, if you end up with an injury, you're going to be out of exercise for a longer period of time. So is it worth your ego? I guess a lot of people, it's an ego thing for people. They want to lift heavy and they want to lift heavy really quickly without understanding the processes and the foundations. Is that worth longevity of your training? So always strip it back even to body weight, get the foundations right, and then build on it there. There's a girl who started online coaching with me just last week. So I sent her over a program, video recordings of the exercises, and then I always get them to record the exercises and send them back to me so that I can critique them and give them feedback based on what they've done. And she was using a dumbbell for her lunges, and the lunges were good. There was just something not quite right about them for me. So I says to her, just lose the weight so you can get the motion properly, and then we can start to add weight in a week or two once you start to move better and move properly. The execution's always needs to be 100% before you start to add weight. Because if you hurt somebody, we're professionals. If you hurt somebody, it's on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would your advice be to people that they're maybe in the house right now and they've started exercise, but they don't have any weights?
Body weight is the best. Body weight is one of you can get a great workout just for body weight. Literally, most of my classes are body weight, and I burn between 200 and 400 calories just with that constant movement.
So you don't need weights at all, really, do you? No.
If you want to see, I guess over time, because it does start, you will start to find it really easy. So you can start to add things like tins of beans and tins of soup. Bottles of water are really good. They worked great in the first lockdown when nobody had any weights. If you want to see some, I guess, muscle development, muscle conditioning, then it is important that you do add in some sort of resistance. But if it's general fitness and just getting moving and feeling good, then body weight works a treat.
I think that's a massive pickup, because so many people, they start a new health regime and then what they do is they go and buy £100 worth of kettlebells
and they don't use them.
They're still sitting in the corner of their bedroom, or they've got the exercise bike that doubles as a clothes horse, or
people do that, don't they? They think it's an investment, and then the amount of people that I know that are new in lockdown 2 who were selling all the equipment that they bought in lockdown 1 because they didn't bother using it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So your best advice then would be ditch all of the, don't go and buy expensive kit. Just work on your form, work on your own body first, and then start to develop that.
And then invest, because gym equipment's not cheap.
Yeah.
Gym equipment is not cheap, but turning on some music and getting a workout is. Don't need any equipment at all.
I think that's always the thing, though. It's that whole getting started, isn't it? Like yesterday, I sat in the same spot for I think maybe 9 hours. And see, when I went to bed last night, I had swollen ankles.
Yeah.
Which isn't good. That's me poor circulation sitting in the same position all day. So what would be your advice to people that are maybe sitting at a desk all day long right now?
Set an alarm. Set an alarm for every 20 to 25 minutes to remind you to get up and go for a walk round about the house.
Yeah.
Anything like that that's going to get you moving, because your joints, they all stiffen up. You know, your back sore? My back would have been breaking if I was sitting like that.
Yeah, my back was sore. My legs were sore. It was terrible. And do you know, all day long, right? My Apple Watch kept saying, "Get up."
Time to stand, and you did me.
Like, I'm busy.
Set an alarm and put it in another room so that it's loud enough for you to hear, and it'll irritate you that you need to get up and go and get it. A good one that I say to a couple of my guys last week or the week before: if you're boiling the kettle, do squats while you're boiling the kettle. Something as similar as that. So the kettle might be boiling for like a minute or two, and I think, I can't remember, but one of the members had said, I think he managed like 60 squats or something while he was boiling the kettle, which is pretty, it's something really as simple as that. If you're up boiling the kettle, try that. Or there's a desk workout on my Instagram. 7 minutes.
That as well. We'd mentioned that last week, which is really good. I didn't. I haven't honestly thought about that when I've been sitting, here for 9 hours a day.
You don't even need to. You need to get up out your chair. You don't need to go anywhere. But there's some movements up at the chair, but a lot of them are sitting in your chair. But it's about engaging the muscles that you're not using, that you should be using.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I've just done a wee bit of quick math there, and even if you were to spend 5 minutes every day squatting 7 days a week as you're boiling the kettle, that's 35 minutes of exercise a week.
It adds up, doesn't it?
And if you're doing that 3 times a day, that's almost 2 hours worth of exercise a week.
Just for boiling the kettle.
Boiling the kettle 3 times a day and squatting.
You might eventually need a new kettle. But it's worth it, because then you won't need to get new knees or a new hip or anything like that at all.
And that's really that. I think that's one of the biggest health concerns for anybody in the whole healthcare sector environment, is that people that are sedentary are at risk of lots of health problems, aren't they?
Yeah, I'd imagine as we move out of the pandemic, I'd imagine there's going to be an even bigger push for people who are working from home about how do we gain more access and give them more support to get them moving at home, because people right now are so addicted to the working at home environment. I know people who are working at 7 a.m. to 8 and 9 at night when they don't have to, but because it's there and because they might have work to do, it's going to make them busy the next day. They think, if I do more today, then I'll have a quieter day tomorrow. But actually, it doesn't. You just end up working more and more and more. Before you know it, you've got 20 or 30 extra hours in your working week. So I think after all this, there's going to be a bigger push for the fitness industry to try and access more people who are working from home and get them moving more. Because this is the scary thing about it. It's the whole working from home thing. This is going to be more permanent for a lot more people. Yeah. So there'll be a big push for us to try and encourage them to get moving.
It's fascinating, though, isn't it? What's happened over the last year? How we've went from working in call centres and all of the rest of it to working at home, and don't have the social interaction. So there's that part of it, but there's equally, you can't get up and go walk on your lunch break. There's all of these little things. It's so much easier to come away from your laptop and go and sit on the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think definitely for me, you've really inspired me today, Kenny, to actually just get up and do a wee bit more.
Boil the kettle.
It's crazy because the most exercise right now that I'm getting is probably walking the dog, and that's something that I do every day anyway. So it's not really extra.
It's really talent. Yeah, it's just kind of a part of your life, isn't it? You need to walk the dog.
Yeah.
So
definitely
that inspired you.
Me, I'm gonna be standing in the kitchen after this going.
Video evidence, or it didn't happen.
That's not happening.
I'll get you feedback.
It's. I think it's a big thing though. For many people watching this, they're going to really feel inspired by that. Just that 5 minutes. That's 2 hours worth of exercise a week.
Yeah.
And it's that. If you do more,
2 hours more than what they've probably been doing. That's if they've been working from home for the pandemic, it's simple things like that. People don't need to do exercise to actually get moving.
Yeah.
Your body actually burns more energy just like digesting stuff, and all the processes that are going inside your body burns more energy. So when you start to move a wee bit without exercising, you're just enhancing that.
Mm-hmm. Martin saying there, I have a cousin down south who's working in an office and he's been told he's now going to be
working from home on a permanent basis. Loads of businesses will be doing the same because they'll be saving money on an office.
Yeah,
they'll put some investment into people having like desk spaces at home and as comfortable as they can. But I think the overall businesses will be saving a fortune from renting out offices or spaces.
It's true what you're saying though. They're going to have to really invest in people's well-being and getting them to exercise and maybe take an hour to go a walk or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And my next question for you, I know that we're kind of running out of time here, but my next question for you is to go back to the whole weight thing. See when you're lifting weights as well, because I meant to ask this when we were speaking about it. When you're lifting weights, see on those last repetitions, is it normal to feel like a wet tea towel?
That's so generally what I'll look for is if somebody's training with me, I'll be looking for them to be struggling for the last kind of 2 to 3 reps. And that's when you know they're working the weights, the right selection for them, because they shouldn't be struggling from 2 or 3 in. They should be able to push without any my assistance until the last 2 or 3 reps. If it's starting to look struggly, and then what happens is you get the posture going and there's other muscle groups working that you don't want to be working, then you need to reduce the weight a wee bit so that you can then, I guess it's that feeling of success for me. I want them to feel like they're doing really well with it and they are pushing. And it's not a struggle for every single exercise. It is normal to feel like that. That's what I would expect from somebody training with me.
Good.
The facial expressions are everything.
Every single time I do anything, those last like 3 or 4 reps, I'm like a blanket. Like
that's good. That's good. So a wee blouse.
I'm sure loads of folk watching this will be like, "That's me. I am that person in the last few reps where I'm just like a wet noodle." So, what's your thoughts as well, Kenny, on the whole connection between meditation, mindfulness, and fitness and exercise?
I think it's like the whole bodied aspect. I read some things last year, and it was interesting to see how they all actually link up. They totally link up, and it's the whole bodied fitness. I read it as it was called. It's everything. All of them have their places, and when they all come together, that's when everything just works in total synchronicity through the body, the mind, the mindfulness, and the fitness aspect. It's incredible to see how they all link.
Yeah, really is.
And I think they all complement each other in more ways than what people probably realise.
Yeah.
Because you might have a kind of off day where you're not feeling great, but then you go and exercise, and all of a sudden, your mindset just switches. So they're all linked.
On our academy website, we're in the middle of moving everything now. We're doing this huge big overhaul where we're moving stuff over to our new training platform. But on there we've got free meditations as well. So anybody watching this as well, if you wanted to jump on there, we've got a whole library full of free meditations for anybody who, you're maybe like really, really going for it fitness wise, and you'd like a wee bit of relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
That's we've got all of that on there as well. So and it's completely free right now because of the whole lockdown thing. But equally, I've got lots of meditation teachers that are out there delivering meditation to people that are like doing lots of fitness. So they're there with their body, but they're not quite there with their mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is a big connection, isn't there?
Yeah, huge. Use them if they're there. Absolutely use them to your advantage. If something's free, do it.
Yeah.
Why would you not?
Brilliant. Well, Kenny, that's us at 1:30. It's always a really quick hour, eh? So,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought we were going to have nothing to talk about today, but there you go. We have. We've
It just comes naturally, doesn't it?
Yeah. And tomorrow, for anybody who would like to tune in tomorrow we have got James on, and he's going to be speaking all about his business, which is life coaching. And I hope we've got James on tomorrow, actually. I'm sure I said to James, we'll have you every Wednesday. He's maybe sitting there in the background going, no.
He's on tomorrow. That's
fine. There you go. So Fiona's saying that's brilliant. Really inspiring.
Thanks, Fiona.
Really inspiring.
Thanks for the question, Fiona.
So Kenny, that's us. We will see you again next week.
You shall indeed, Stephen. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Perfect. See you all later. Bye for now. Be strong.